another training vlog for you. We are 4 weeks out from our next powerlifting competition. For those of you who don't know, I'll be doing Rising Tide over in Philly. It is a local competition, but I will be in the primetime session, so I believe I'm competing around 3 or 3:30 Eastern. So I'm really excited. It's the first meet in a long time that I can actually just drive to. I'll have a little bit of a weight cut, but it shouldn't be anything too crazy. Very excited. My family will be able to be there. I'm going to have Heidi handle me. It'll be a good experience. So we are 4 weeks out. I have another training vlog for you. We're going to stick to the same format that I've been doing the past 2 videos, which is we're going to roll some training footage. This time I've got footage of everything, and we're going to commentate it. Just give you my honest thoughts about where things are at, how things are going, why I do certain things the way that I do it, etc., etc. All right, so without further ado, let's load it up. Okay, pause that, bring the circle in. We're going to crush this volume. I already crushed the training volume, but we're going to crush it even more just in case. How's that? No way that you guys would be bothered by that. I mean, there's only 10. I like to have just a little bit there. You know what I mean? All right, we'll keep it at 10. So, yep, we are 4 weeks out. This is the first week of the peak. Today we had squats. I currently train 4 days a week with basically 2 bench days and 1 squat day, 1 deadlift day. So I should say competition style, but anyway, yeah, so I've got 2 warm-ups here. I did not film any of the warm-ups prior or any of the stuff that I do on the turf with a resistance band and such before I touch the bar. It's not really worth it. But if you guys did want to see that, you let me know. But either way, so 4 reds, no belt. I put my knee sleeves on once I get to about 3 to 4 reds. You'll notice I am wearing the same heels I was wearing when I did the deload 640. This is because Thomas Lilly, my coach, told me to basically pick a shoe and stick with it until the meet. Now, I have commitment issues when it comes to powerlifting gear, okay? And maybe that warrants a therapy session, but I don't know. Jokes aside, here's the deal. I believe I can squat anything and anything, truly. Where I get caught up is how things feel. And sometimes I get too into the feeling of things. I'm just, a soft, sensitive child. No, like, honestly, how things feel is a factor. It shouldn't be the factor. So I have some growing up to do when it comes to that. I've always had commitment issues when it comes to powerlifting gear. It could be knee sleeves. It could be wrist wraps. It could be the belt. It could be everything. And I think a lot of that honestly has to do with my ADHD. I overthink a lot of things, but I also am constantly jumping to like the shiny object syndrome style. It's like, okay, that could be better. This could be better. That could be better. And in a way that's healthy because it pushes you to, it's like an internal drive to consistently find something that could be giving you better results than what you're getting right now. But the downside, of course, is this idea that, well, how about you just stick with one thing and use that for a long time and develop with that one thing? You'll probably go a lot further. And that's just the truth. So I'm already running off on a tangent. Let's just watch this warm up and then we'll talk more about it. Yeah, 4 reds. I usually warm up by reds. That was good def, by the way. I usually warm up red all the way through. But 5 reds is usually my indicator for how things are feeling that day. It's anywhere between like 573 and 628. That'll give me a good gauge as to like, okay, do I feel strong today? Again, with the feelings, but it's just a good gauge for me. And today things felt weirdly heavy. I'm coming off a deload. Usually when I come off a deload, I don't feel great. I feel actually like kind of weak, a little bit like detrained in a way. And so although I'm like relatively recovered, I could just tell like my body has now deacclimated to work, and so it's not uncommon for me to come into a day 1 off a deload feeling kind of beat up, or not beat up, but feeling kind of like weak and like brittle. But today felt a little bit extra like that. It's not food, it's not sleep. Those 2 variables have been taken care of. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, either way, it doesn't really matter. Like at some point you can make an observation of how things feel and still choose to perform irrespective of that. Okay. Sometimes it's not really, nobody gives a fuck how you feel. You just do it. It's on the page. Just fucking do it. And you'll surprise yourself at your performance in spite of that, So 4 reds, next warm up is 5 reds. And again, I did go with these shoes. Now, my coach, Thomas Lilly, wanted me to pick one and stick with them throughout the meet or throughout the training prep into the meet. The alternative to these shoes as of right now are flats with VersaLift heels in them. I will say, which we're going to talk about after I hit the top set, I still don't know which one I would prefer. But you'll see after the top set, like the benefits of this versus the others, and I already talked about it in a previous video, but yeah, I wasn't too happy with the shoes though today, man. I felt really good with them the other day. Good brace, boom, good depth, came up. One thing that you'll notice is like there's a little bit of spin on these plates, and that's because that bar drifts forward a little bit as I hinge, and then as I come back up, the bar comes back, and so it causes like the spin there, which is not ideal. I mean, like there's nothing efficient about that. See that? Boom. Yeah, there's nothing efficient about that. Now, one little easy fix that most coaches would probably say absolutely not, don't ever do that, is letting this bar start lower on the rear delt, which I found is very difficult to set up that way. It's actually easier to get under the bar, get tight, walk it out, and then let that bar roll down the back a little bit. You end up hinging forward just a little bit, and that helps you kind of just be able to compress straight down and come straight up. Because then what happens is you're starting in the position that your body wants to get to as it's squatting, right? Because as I'm squatting, my torso wants to come down. So instead of letting that happen during the squat, we just start there. So an extreme example of that would be like the French low bar, where they come up, they walk it out, and really with like the French low bar, yes, they start with the bar really low, but what they do is they pull their hips back a ton, and it gives this impression that they're like super leaned over. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, whatever. 5 reds today felt heavy. It felt heavy as fuck. So I kind of knew, I was like, shit. I had a range today of 305 to 315 kg for a single. So I really wanted the 315, but it was supposed to be, I believe, like RP8 or something like that. So I was like, you know what? Let me just play it smart, meet somewhere in the middle, and go 310. I felt like that was a healthy jump too. It was about 20 kilo jump from the deload single. Not that bad of an idea, and hypothetically, I've always opened at 310. So in my mind, 683 pounds should be like, no matter how I am feeling, I should be able to hit this and hit this to depth. So that's why I chose that number. Okay. All right. Let's see the top set. Again, 5 reds is usually like my gauge for how I'm feeling that day. And it was, it wasn't feeling fantastic. Not a bad walkout. Feet are a little wide here. My right leg always just kicks out a little bit wider and ankles out a little bit more. It's very strange. My hips are all fucked up. Good breathing and bracing. Really trying to be patient and let the bar settle. This bar is stiffer than the new Alico, so there's not as much whip with this, but if this were the new Alico, I'd feel a lot of whip. So really, even from the unrack, I should have taken just a little bit more time. Just let that bar settle. You almost want to embrace the discomfort when it comes to squats. Good. I don't think elbows are in that bad of a position. Something I tried to do here was just really wrench the upper back and show the chest, because what I found is my torso is just long enough where if this bar is going to stay up here, when I come down and hinge, unfortunately, I end up like having to use a fuck ton of back to grind a squat up when I'm coming up out of the hole, if I close the rib cage and let this all collapse. The only way around that is to just keep this somewhat extended. And that's something I really struggle with, is keeping the brace, keeping my pelvis neutral while still getting some thoracic extension up here. It's very difficult. I don't know. I feel like it's two opposite things. And so it's tough. It's easier for me to maintain a neutral pelvis with a smaller heel height. But yeah, well, we'll talk about that after the set. Okay. Boom. I think that's depth. Not terrible. Not terrible. Hold on, let's watch it again, because this was like the meat of the day here. Not terrible. Now, I will say that it felt heavy as fuck on my back, and so all I was thinking about was just getting as tight as possible, focusing on the brace and just trusting in that. And so whenever I focus a lot on something, I slow it down just by nature. And so something that happened here was I could literally feel myself descending, and then I like could literally tell, I was like, okay, let me just reach for that depth and then come back up. And so it felt broken in a way, but something happened here that happens a lot when I'm in heels. And that is, as soon as I get to a certain depth, we'll say, my butt kicks back and I get this anterior pelvic tilt, which sucks because it cuts depth and it's just not a good position, right? But the caveat is, which I talked about in a previous video, is heels help me stay a little bit more upright, and they help me like keep this arch a little bit up here, so it's easier to grind. So like, watch, see how arched I am? But because I'm arched, that bar wanted to push my chest down, but it couldn't because I had this arch up here. When I'm in flats, it's harder for me to sustain that. Because I'm fucking in flats. So there's a trade off there. The other thing too is that my hips like to shoot up right out of the hole. My hips don't like to stay under me. I don't know if it's because my back is too weak. I don't know if it's a positioning thing. Who knows? But watch, boom. See that right there? The hips shoot up, and then I try and catch it coming back under. Again, man, I mean, it's in my opinion, that is a problem. Nobody's squat is ever going to be perfect. You're always kind of just dealing with what you've got. But it's, yeah, man, it's not fun to have these sorts of issues here. But that's the name of the game, man. So, yeah, one more time, guys, I promise. What else can I say here? Yeah. Hips don't collapse too bad. It's still relatively quick. Like, gun to my head, I probably had another rep, maybe a third, maybe, especially if I didn't slow it down as much on the descent. So, look, am I like upset about it? No. Am I happy with it? No. Plain and simple. Shoes wise, dude, again, it's tough because I know for a fact with a smaller heel height, it's so much easier for me to keep my pelvis neutral and just kind of come down and maintain that really nice looking brace. The problem is once the weight gets heavy enough and this bar bullies me down, if I am closed here, look how high that bar is. Like my low bar looks like a lot of guys' high bar, to be honest with you. So that bar bullying me down, I literally have to use my whole like back to try and lever it up. And it's just such a disadvantageous way to squat, in my opinion. And every single massive squatter who is a natural lifter and doesn't weigh 300 fucking pounds has extension in their upper back. Every single one. Russell Orhe, Jamar Royster. Did I say his last name right? I hope I did. I'm sorry if I didn't. Ashton Ruska. Tank. I'm blanking on his actual name. Brendan Todd. Who else? Fuck. Austin Perkins. Everybody squats with extension. Anthony McNaughton. Everybody. Now they may not be cueing it. They may not be cueing like this, right? They're not arching their back like a banana. But every single one of those big boy squatters, none of them are like perfectly neutral or rounded over up top. Whereas if you watch a lot of untested lifters, especially the high bar squatters, because they kind of like, I don't know what it is, but they just squat like that. A lot of them are very like closed rib cage and keep this very, very rigid and tight. And they just try and keep that all the way through into the hole and coming up. I don't know what that's about. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's just a small pattern I noticed between the two. All I know is that every single lifter who squats a lot of fucking weight has some extension in the upper back. The trick is just what they're doing with their pelvis. And it's a challenge to try and, not that you want to recreate anything or replicate anything, but it's a challenge to find what's really going to work. There are universal principles when it comes to technique, and you want to apply them. And so they will express differently, based on your own like limb lengths, leverages, all that stuff. But there are, universal principles. And so, we're just trying to be mindful of those things. But yeah, I mean, look, overall, I'd rate this single maybe 6.5 out of 10. I don't think it was anything special. Would I have liked it to would I have liked it to have felt a lot easier? Yeah, of course. But, it is what it is. All right. Now we had minus 15 kg for a triple. So 650. 295, which I will say was like a set of 4, I think, in previous blocks. So to take this for a triple with these shoes, not having been used to these shoes, plus having taken the 683 prior to, I'm happy with it. It felt heavy as fuck, of course, but I am happy with it. Again, dude, this weird stance bullshit. Boom, good brace, come down. Better pelvic position here. I was really trying to focus on that. But again, dude, I could literally feel it. You'll notice by the last rep here, and then I'm going to shut the fuck up so you guys can just focus on the reps. You'll see that it gets easier for me to grind through the top as my body welcomes in more extension. So here's what we're going to do. Start from the top, and I'll just let you guys watch it. See? Kept the torso relatively neutral there, although the hips kind of came back in. Boom. Hips want to come back out there. And then I was able to grind through because I really kept this rock solid back here, like in some extension. Now, it's tricky. Do I think depth was good? I think depth was good. That was definitely depth. That was definitely depth. I don't like these hips shooting back. That's definitely a problem. And then boom, hip shoot back again. It gets accentuated, like I said, when I'm in heels like this. That was one of the reasons why, too, I had wanted to try a flats with a wider stance because I felt like it would give less opportunity for that, It'd be easier to keep my hips under me, but we still kind of saw a similar thing there. One thing that definitely can help is, again, dude, like if this bar is not as far forward, the hips don't want to shoot as far back. It's just not going to happen, if that bar is directly over the hips, essentially, or I should say like closer to the hip, then your hips won't want to shoot back as far. Part of the reason why this hips, and this is chicken or the egg scenario, but part of the reason why I think the hips shoot back is because the chest comes forward, so that bar comes forward, and so if this is shifting forward, what does your body do to try and maintain balance and counteract that? Well, it's got to shift something back, right? So that's why the hips will shoot back, and because otherwise, if the hips shoot forward, you're falling forward. So, yeah. But overall, not terrible on squats. Like I said, I think here this was hard, but I think here I had maybe one more rep, maybe two. It felt a lot harder than it looks, to be honest with you. Maybe that's just me bitching. But yeah, that was grind right there, and we still have one more to go. Yeah, I think with some anger, I could have gotten another one or another two potentially. But yeah, that's squats, guys. Okay, so not terrible. All right, this was the second set of RDLs. Going for a slight tempo here. This is around 418, 420 pounds for a set of 8. I had 8 to 10 at 3 RAR, and Thomas specifically wanted me to throw in a tempo to basically put a cap on the load that we progress while still keeping intensity high. Really, the goal here is just to maintain good brace, good posture, focus on the hamstrings and the glutes, keep the lats tight, everything's tight. I didn't want to do like a too fucking crazy tempo. I didn't want like a 4 or 5 second tempo. I thought that would just be stupid. Anything more than like 2 to 3 seconds is, in my opinion, kind of a waste anyway when it comes to hypertrophy. If there are any extra gains you'd get from that, they're marginal. So, yeah. Plus, I do want to keep this relatively heavy. I don't want this to ever be below this, because this is kind of like my secondary deadlift, so to speak. So yeah, I think that was 8 reps. I'm actually, by the way, really liking these shoes. I'm not sponsored by anyone in the powerlifting space, so hopefully you guys can trust me when I say I've been wearing the TYR barefoots for the longest time. Love them. But I am honestly very impressed with these Notorious Lift, the new ones, the SSG5, whatever they are. I like them a lot. They're kind of like a nice combo between like a slipper and a shoe. Whereas like Avances, I like Avances, but Avances is very much like a shoe. And then like the TYRs are very much like a slipper in a way. So this kind of felt like the best of both worlds. So I thought these are really cool. We'll see if I compete in them. Probably will. Yeah. So, okay. Now for like the remaining accessories, nothing too crazy today. Bulgarians. Now, one thing about Bulgarians, I was getting a lot of pain going up the glute and the back on my right side, especially when I was going heavy, but most especially when I let this torso angle forwards. So for the past several months, my goal has just been keep this torso very, very vertical, drop straight down, brace as much as I can, 2 dumbbells, call it a day. And I was progressing these up to hundreds. Now, this is week 1, I'm using 40. I probably won't go heavier than 65 by the end of this block. And believe it or not, you will definitely, if you take your time, not saying you have to tempo it, but if you take your time and really try and focus on good technique, feel the foot pressure on the inner side of the foot, like really, really take your time, dude. Like 12 reps here, you'll feel it. You'll feel it 100%. You can see this is my right side, and I'm definitely not as good with it. So yeah, my right side's always a little fucked up. Yep, there you go. I think I gave myself an extra rep. I think I did a 13th rep to make up for the fact that I lost balance there, because I had to punish my body for not staying in line. Hamstring curls here, seated hamstring curl. This was the second set. Most of the stuff I filmed for accessories, I filmed the second set. Yeah, look at that hamstring bow. Damn. Like a thoroughbred racehorse. Anyway, don't buy these TYR sneakers, by the way. I don't know what the fuck they did to the back of this thing, but it digs into my ankle every time I walk, and it really pisses me off. I spent money on them, so I wear them. But anyway, yeah, we did 130 pounds with these like black rings. I think they're like 5 pounds each that I slid pretty much all of them on. Maybe just 2, I forget. Then we had single leg extensions, which I absolutely can't stand, to be honest with you, because they hurt. It's very hard for me to like really progress the load on these without fucking up my knees. So this is 110 pounds. I like to start off with just both legs. And then when I bring it down, I go for one leg here. I really like to do my leg extensions almost as like flat as I can be. It helps me really get the whole quad going without putting too much strain on the knee. So definitely give it a shot. But yeah, about 10 reps here. Switching legs, not too bad. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this stuff for, I don't even know, months. Pretty much the same rotation of accessories. So there's only so much I can progress them, because especially on the single leg stuff, it's like, again, I have to kind of also like take into account the pain factor of like fucking up my knees and stuff. So I almost end up just doing the same shit for a long time. One more exercise, and it is suitcase carries, 20 meters. Now, I did the math as best I could. I'm pretty sure one way down, one way there is 20 meters. But to be safe, I do 1, 2, 3, and I count that as 20 meters. So, and then I switch to the other side. 1, 2, 3. Okay. These, honestly, by the second, what the heck? Did these not? Oh, whatever. By the second set of these, bro, by the second set of these, it burns. It burns. It's hard, especially because I'm holding on to the heaviest kettlebell the gym has, and it's my grip strength is good, but it's not fun. So, yeah, man. I mean, this is the squat day. I think I'm very curious to see how things shape up. I'm purely like, I told myself, especially going into this meet, I'm trying something new. I'm trying something different. And I was calculated in the decisions I made. I'm confident in the decisions I made. But like anything else, you don't know until you try it. And so you try to detach any like sort of biases or emotion or anything like that. It's just purely like almost like you're running a science experiment. You have a hypothesis. You want to test that hypothesis. Okay. So that's basically what's happening, and so I made those changes going into this upcoming local competition. That way I'd be a little bit more confident about maybe the decisions I make going into my national level competition, because truthfully, man, I'm at the point where I'm going to make a separate video about this, about like powerlifting and whether or not it's worth it and burnout and all sorts of stuff, because I can see it. Like, I can just sense the culture. Like, it's all dying. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. Maybe it's because I've been on the outskirts now for maybe like the second year, but it is kind of dying. And I have a unique position because I've ran a business in this space, multiple businesses in this space. I've been a top athlete in this space. I've had the sponsors. I've done like everything that every athlete would want to do so far in the sport. And I've been on like the other side of it too. Like, I've been in every single piece of it that you can possibly imagine. And so, with the exception of like being a referee, a judge, or volunteering for like spotting and loading and stuff, which is a whole nother topic. So I have a different perspective, and there's a lot of stuff here that I could talk about when it comes to that. But, I'm at a point where I just don't have the patience, the time, or the energy to bullshit around, to fuck around anymore. It's like, either we're going to win or we're not. Like, I'm not saying any, like, it's, oh, well, there's next year. Oh, well, maybe this is like, bro, no, like, I'm very serious about this. It's either this is going to work or it's not. And there's no doubling back and saying like, well, It could have, but we chose to. No. The expectations are very clear. I'm going into this, whether it's nationals or local meet, whatever, to make progress and to see real gains. And so, if I'm not going to see that, I'm done. I'm cutting it. Like whether it's myself as a common denominator, or it's a coach, or it's a like whatever it is. So I'm at the point where it's like I'm not wasting my time. So I'm very curious to see how things shape up. I'm very confident that like all the work I've put in over the past few months will, if nothing else, put me in a really good spot going into this upcoming competition. Um, I think that like my goal is to total, I think at least 915, and do it somewhat easily. That would be a positive sign that things are working well. Um, I think I've had enough time to I think I've had enough time of training since nationals to be able to say whether or not the changes I made worked. It's not like I didn't have enough time to do that. So to me, it's like a very obvious, like, okay, either this did work or it didn't work. And I do think it's gonna work. So I'm trusting the peak here. Like I'm all bought in, and yeah, and so we'll see how it goes, But obviously, my job is just to execute as an athlete, show up, attack every session, keep my food in check, keep my cardio in check. I did do cardio after this. I've taken off the weighted vest now that I'm peaking, trying to just allocate as much recovery time as possible to the training. So no weighted vest anymore. I am doing a little bit more cardio than usual. It's more like 41 minutes a day as opposed to 31, and it's every day pretty much. But to me, that's a small price to pay. So, yeah. Outside of that, I'm doing a little bit of PT work on my hips, just really trying to open shit up. But, otherwise, I mean, we'll see. I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty confident. The one thing that I don't quite understand just yet is like why, and this is me just being completely transparent with you guys, as like an athlete, but less as like somebody talking to you, more so somebody talking with you. I don't know why weights like this aren't flying. It's been probably like years since I feel like I had a consistent stride of like everything heavy, even if it feels heavy, is just fucking moving. Like I just feel like a tank. Now, there's one specific factor that I could think of outside of just like me being 21 versus 28, or 22 versus 28, I should say. That factor would be body weight. Like when I first started, especially by the time of my second nationals, I think I was like 23. I was like 215, 216, but did not have the muscle mass that I have now. So I was definitely had a lot more body fat. And that definitely can contribute to things feeling a lot better, you know? But I just don't know if that's a good enough excuse. That could be an excuse to not be totaling 1,000 right now, not to not be totaling 975. But I don't know if it's a good enough excuse to not be totaling 10 times body weight consistently, easily, in my opinion. So yeah, so like as an athlete, and I share this with you because there's probably some of you who probably feel the same way about your training. Like, bro, I wish I had the answer, man. I wish I had the answer as to why everything feels heavy all the time, you know? Um, so I'm still in the search. I'm still on the search to figure out what these missing ingredients are, but I'm confident that the changes I made, at the very least, I've been able to string together relatively good, consistent training blocks since nationals. And that's a good sign. I haven't been able to do that in a long time. That's a good sign. We will see how the weeks progress, whether or not I stick with these shoes. I will have to make a choice for sure by next week. Absolutely. But we'll see. I'm curious to see what Thomas thinks. If I can get his feedback in by next week, then I'll know more. But if not, then I'll probably just end up warming up both these and then the flats, and then just kind of call it on the top set. I don't know. I don't really give a fuck, man. It just ain't that even. It's like I don't even care. I just want to be strong as shit. I just don't even give a fuck anymore, man. And so, yeah. But although if I didn't give a fuck, then why would I be thinking this deeply about I don't know. But I guess the only other thing to add here is like knee sleeve stuff. So I'm debating on wearing the A7 stiff sleeves. The only thing that's keeping me from doing the A7 stiff sleeves is the fact that they're likely going to be banned next year. So it's like I'm going to use them to hit a total, but then not be able to use them to hit the next total, which is kind of stupid in my opinion. It's like whatever you plan on using at nationals, just use now, because that'll give you the most predictable result, I suppose, of what could happen at nationals. Um, so yeah, I mean, overall, I think that this was a pretty strong day. I think that this was a pretty strong day, and I'm really excited to see where things go. The one thing I will say is we can end on this from a mindset side of things. Here, we'll just throw my face maybe right here. So I think as an athlete, especially in this sport, you have to make a decision, and the decision is, what do I want and why do I want it? And what I mean by that is this: powerlifting is unique because it's very low skill. It's very, very low skill. It's not like learning math, learning your sciences, learning a musical instrument. It's not like another sport like soccer where there's so many technical aspects, and then even then there's so many assets that you should be accountable for when it comes to the game itself, like how the game is played with your teammates and just all of that stuff that can make you such a weapon. In powerlifting, none of that exists. It is an up and down sport, 3 basic movements. So there's very little room for improvement on the skill side. Yes, you can always become better when it comes to technique and all that. Yeah, 100% sure. But it's squat, bench, and deadlift. I mean, how often and how long are we going to constantly like beat a dead horse over your pelvic position and all this shit? Like, I genuinely do not understand how these coaches make, like, I don't understand how people like make powerlifting their identity for their entire life. How much could you possibly talk about? I mean, it's literally 3 movements. You know what I mean? So I guess like the problem there is, as an athlete, the only then room for improvement is just the X factor of time. So just allowing a lot of time to go by of you being very disciplined and very consistent, how you eat, how you sleep, how you train, all of these things, which, by the way, you'd have to do in every sport anyway. But then the only other growth factor is quite literally what you do with your body, And so the only real growth that can happen will, I believe, come directly from your actual training, your actual programming. So literally, can your body develop enough muscle to then develop enough strength to then be able to express that top end strength in the squat, bench, and deadlift? Whereas in soccer, let's say, sure, you could get faster. That's 100% something that these athletes are going to do. You can become more agile, more mobile, whatever helps you physically as a soccer player. But then there's this whole other side to being a talented and just weaponized soccer player. Like, there's so much more, right? There's dribbling. Again, there's being able to read the field. There's so much more that you could work on to develop your skill set as a player. But again, in powerlifting, you don't have any of that. And so it makes it really, really, like, it's just like, damn, like, not only is it kind of boring, but it's also like, there's only one way to make progress. And that's to just literally just get bigger and then try and get stronger and then, keep going. So why do I say all that? You have to make a decision. What do you want? Why do you want it? And I think, like, for me, I want to be the best because I believe I can be. I want to become a 2-weight class open world champion because I believe that's my potential. And I want to see just how far I can push my body. I want to see just how far I can go. And what that does is that frees me from all of the bullshit of the powerlifting world. I don't have to worry about the Instagram shit. I don't have to worry about any of it because I'm not doing it for that. I don't have to worry about the competitions and all that. I'm not doing it for that. Winning, showing up at these stages, accomplishing certain things, accomplishing certain milestones is simply a byproduct of my true desire, which again is to see just how far I can go. And I've found that that is the key to becoming the absolute greatest in the world at anything. Because if your goal is something that is external, if your goal is something that has to do with everybody else, meaning winning a world championship or what have you, for the sake of winning a world championship, for the sake of beating so-and-so, for the sake of, even if you achieve it, you will be empty because it's unfulfilling. Because then what? There'll always be another year to compete at a world championship. There'll always be another athlete. And if you think you're going to be able to soak in the adoration from your fans, I promise you, fan culture in every sport, but especially in powerlifting culture, is what have you done for me lately? You think these brands are going to give a fuck about you in 2 years? There's a new rising star. If you couldn't keep up, oh well. You know what I mean? Like that's how it works. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the business. That's the machine. But my point is, that's a very unfulfilling thing. So when it's internal and when you decide, like, I'm doing this for me, I'm doing this because I love this, remind yourself that you love it. I'm doing this because I love it. Not only will that help you in training, it gives you a different type of fuel, it gives you a different base and foundation to make decisions from, but it also, in my opinion, leads to better results because it's coming from. So I guess the best way to describe this is it's like you can judge a seed by its fruit, you know? So if the soil is spoiled and if the seed is a bad seed, the fruit's going to be shitty. But if the soil is rich and the seed is a good seed, meaning the internal, the source, the foundation, where it's coming from is pure, with righteous intention, with good intention, then you can trust the fruit that is bared will be amazing, you know? And so that's what I'm trying to say. So you have to decide, what do you want? Why do you want it? And yeah, I mean, for me, I just, I have something to prove, most especially to myself. Um, and yeah, I am excited for the competition. I will say, powerlifting is an interesting sport for sure. I care more about just being strong. I don't know if I really care about powerlifting, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah. Okay. Enough running off on a tangent. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're gonna film a couple more videos this week, and those will be uploaded as well. I'm happy to stay consistent. This format really helps. Again, let me know in the comments if you like these videos. And yeah, man, appreciate you guys. See you in the next one.